This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
The ride. So, good morning. How you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah, except I caught the end of your silliness there. And there's another factor that I think people conveniently forget because they get all caught up in how Skyler's performing. Oh, there's a little matter of Teddy Bridgewater having a $6.5 million guaranteed contract.
Yeah. But dude, it's perfect the way you have it. Tua's your starter. Teddy's brain is so needed in that room for Tua, for Skyler. You know, overall, it makes the quarterback coach Bevel's job a little easier that he has like a second coach in the damn room. And dude, I love Skyler. I've been bragging about Skyler for weeks now, and I know he's made the team. But this is actually a beautiful scenario, man. This is how you really want it. You want your developmental guy in the building. You want your backup that knows his shit. And you want the starter to be playing the game. And this is exactly the way you want it. By thinking that you can cut or trade or disrupt it, it makes zero sense right now to disrupt anything you have with your three quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is we need to slow our roll with Skyler, who I like as much as you do, who's made a lot of big throws in practice and in the preseason games. He's still a rookie.
Exactly.
And you really want him to be in a lineup, thrown in there if something happens to Tua. Yeah.
Against number one DBs, against defensive coordinators that are scheming against you, and all of a sudden, because nobody's scheming for him right now. Nobody is setting him up, and he's not facing number ones at any time, okay? Most teams are resting their guys. Most teams are playing backups or guys that aren't even going to be on the roster against him right now. It's just so ridiculous. And I love the kid, but I love him the way you have him right there in that developmental spot. That's all. Next year, maybe what we've talked about is if he progresses as the year goes on, then next year he elevates to that number 2 spot. Then I get it. Now, maybe trading deadline, he's making a lot of progress and Tua's kicking some serious ass, and somebody has a major injury and they're offering you a second or third rounder for him. Then you're like, yeah, we have to trade him. We have no choice. I get that. But outside of that, ride with what you have with all three guys because there's a perfect role for each guy. I love it.
Yeah, and there's also the issue of overreaction isn't just when there's a bad performance, it's when there's a good performance the other way where we need to like take the context and, you know, in perspective. Jesus, it's a preseason game. Now it's craziness but you get it. You and I have been around long enough. You know, fans get overly excited about one thing or another prematurely. So like you said, they have a really good setup right now. Let's not mess with it.
I'm with you there. I don't know if you're really doing this, but Topher says, Big O, ask Poupart why did he decide to start giving Tua a passer rating grade only on days of his worst practices last week, LOL. Is that true? I didn't notice that. Did you really do that?
I did do that, and I explained it in the mailbag this past weekend, and I'll be happy to do it again.
I missed the mailbag. That's probably why.
Okay. Well, shame on you.
I'm sorry. I don't read all the mailbags. My bad.
Okay. Well, here's the reason. Okay. You and I have seen a lot of practices, and the practice stats usually fall within a pretty usual pattern of completions attempts. You know, it can skew a little bit, but it's never. You rarely see somebody go 18 for 19. You rarely see somebody go 7 for 25. Well, on this practice day, and I chart every single solitary play. I started doing that this year, which explains why I hadn't done passer rating before, because you need every single play. Well, right. in that practice, we charted every single solitary play, and it comes out 2-0 is 11 for 30. Now, that included 2 spikes, which I mentioned. Okay, 11-30 in a practice with 3 picks, along with 3 touchdowns. And I think their yardage was like 151 or something like that. And it's estimated yardage, obviously, because they don't tackle. And it just dawned on me at the time, like, holy crap, that's going to be a really bad passer rating. And I checked it, and it was 47.4, and I decided to include it. It's not some sort of personal vendetta against Tua, as some people would suggest. And if Teddy Bridgewater would go 7 for 25, I'd look that up, and I'd print it as well. So that's the only reason.
I got you. All right. I get it. All right. You're still not on the Tua bandwagon anyway, so we all know that. So as we're all cruising to the Super Bowl, we'll be waving at you.
By all means.
So that's all right. That's all right. We all know that. Okay. We all know. Okay. Us Tuanon folk, we have booted you from the bandwagon. So we all know that. All right.
I will chronicle it. Hold on. I will chronicle it, good or bad. If he kicks ass, it won't be like, trust me, I won't be going, well, I knew it all along. I told you all along. I won't do that, but I'll chronicle it and give the man his props.
All right, so let's move on to a disappointing. The only disappointing, real big thing going on right now in camp, I would say, is Noah. Unfortunately, that's like the real downer at this point with the Trill Williams injury. So at this point, I was hoping maybe he'd show something after this past week where he had a couple of moments, and you figure, man, maybe this starts to become the building blocks for him. Do you think he survives at least one more year because he's a first rounder and they'll give Pat and Sam a year? Because that's what I'm thinking. They're going to give him a year to work with him and give him one more shot. Where does Noah stand right now in your eyes?
I think he's pretty safe on the 53, and it's not just that. It's the other factor, and that's the financial considerations. Like I told you, I looked it up, and the Dolphins basically lose cap space if they cut him. So, and do they have, a fifth cornerback who's that much better?
No.
To keep instead of him? No, you're right. So what's the point? Right. I don't see it. And then in the meantime, if you can't get anything out of him on defense, he'll play on special teams like he did his first 2 years. It's not ideal. It sucks. But I have a really hard time seeing them dumping him.
I thought McDaniel nailed it when he was saying like he's not being, aggressive, that he's still tentative, and when you see him with those crossing patterns, he's playing so soft. And dude, I mean, Sam Madison and Surtain are coaching him. Those were in your face corners. Hell, Sam would talk while he's in your face. So I can't imagine that those guys are teaching him to be passive. And you remember Booger in Risky Business when he said, sometimes you just got to say, what the F? Mm-hmm. No ignominy needs to just say it, bro. Let it out. Just go play. Make your mistakes at full speed. Stop thinking. Stop worrying so much about screwing up. It seems like he's just playing scared, to be quite honest. Scared to make a mistake.
Yeah. By the way, fun fact, he actually was Miles in that movie. How's that for a memory? He wasn't Booger.
Wow,
he was
that
Miles.
was his name?
Yeah.
Miles?
Yep.
I forgot. Yeah.
How about that? Here's the problem, though, is like from the time you met Sam in 97 when he arrived, you could tell the guy was, we want to say cocky, very confident, all that. Patrick was quiet, but had a certain confidence to it. Noah's never exhibited that. He's like a very proper reserved guy. Yeah. And he also got burned a bit as a rookie. And I'll go back. And him having to guard Stephon Diggs in like his third game in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he got turned around every which way but loose. And now he's playing like a guy who's scared of getting beat. And it's a lot easier for us to say, okay, you need to get some confidence. Stop worrying about making mistakes when it's maybe right there in the guy's head and he doesn't necessarily have the personality to just say, you know what, F it, I'm going to kick some ass starting right now. That's the concern with him. And like you mentioned, he's giving way too much cushion, not only on crossers, but on slants. I mean, there was like a 3rd and 4, I think, on Saturday night. He's playing 10 10 yards off the ball against Keelan Cole, who just cuts in front of him and makes an easy catch, and boom, it's a long gain for a first down. So, yeah, there's a lot of work there to be done with Noah as far as playing cornerback is concerned.
When I see Noah, it reminds me of the year that Shula drafted 2 offensive linemen. Was a guy named Green?
Billy Milner and Andrew Green.
Milner, and what was the other guy?
Andrew Green.
Right, Andrew Green. Billy Milner, I remember interviewing Billy Milner, and when I walked away from Billy Milner, I said, this guy, I want him running my financial investments. I don't want him as my offensive lineman. I swear to God, when I walked away from Billy Milner, I go, this guy's going to be like he's going to be leading an investment firm or something. He looked like a really smart, intellectual dude. I don't know whatever happened to Billy Milner. I don't even know I don't know if he ended up in a car wash or something, maybe, but he gave me the impression of like a dude that wasn't a football player. Like, he looked like he had way too much class and intelligence to be a football player. Not that that means anything. I don't mean anything for all the rest of the football players out there. But it's just one of those kind of guys. Like Myron Rolle. When you met Myron Rolle, you go, well, dude, you're a scholar. What the hell are you doing here? Go cure cancer, bro. You're way better than that. And so, in a way, when I see this kid Noah, it's like sometimes I just look at a kid that I don't know if he has the edge, that edge that you need as a football player. You know what I mean? I don't care if you're Carl Mecklenburg, who ends up being a doctor, but when you're on the field, you had an edge. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of these kind of guys that played the game that were really smart and all that stuff, but when they were playing the game, they had an edge. And that's the part that I don't see from Noah. I kind of see too much of us in him, normal human being. And to play football, there has to be, it almost seems like there has to be some kind of a screw that's loose. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I don't know if he has it.
No, I completely agree with you. And going back to Sam wasn't the fastest guy around, but Sam was a very good technician, and he had an awful lot of moxie, for lack of a better term, and that made him a great player, the combination of those two. And like you mentioned, you make a very, very good point that the dog in him is kind of lacking.
Yeah, Tom Brady's a nice, classy guy. You get him off the field, all that, but on the field, he's going to have an edge to him. You know what I mean? Like anything in life, you're going to have to bring some kind of an edge to do what you do. Like you and your writing, you bring that edge all the time. People love your coverage. People love your analysis, your breakdowns, all that, because you bring that all the time. And it's part of the life of whatever you do. And when I look at Noah and I look at all the other guys, I just see him cut up the same way, man. Jason Taylor can be on Dancing with the Stars and can be a model and can do all kinds of events for you and all that stuff. And then when he gets on the field, he's a son of a bitch. It's a different ball game when he gets on there.
As long as Bill Parcells is not in charge.
Right.
Then he'll trade his ass.
Yeah. He can compartmentalize that. And it's just, I wonder with Noah. All right. What going into this week, are you satisfied with everything going on with the line? What was your thoughts on the line's play going into this, which might be, you think this was the dress rehearsal, but if they go into the dress rehearsal this week with Philadelphia, how do you assess the 5 guys that are starting right now?
Yeah, I think it was a dress rehearsal in terms of the whole group. I could see like the young offensive lineman playing. I don't see Teron Armstead playing. I don't see Tyreek Hill playing. I don't see Tua playing. I don't see Chase Edmonds playing. So, but for the other guys, listen, like we talked after the game, the pass protection was really good. You can't get a 2nd and 1 or a 3rd and 1. That's really bad. Again, I question, if we talk about scheming on defense, how much of Mike McDaniel's run game scheme was in full effect, because those two 2nd and 1 and 3rd and 1 running plays look pretty basic to me. And I'm not convinced that there wouldn't be a whole lot more motion, a lot of more stuff happening pre-snap on those plays once the situation arises in the regular season. So yeah, there's reason to be concerned about the offensive line. Number one, because they hadn't played together for a game. First of all, second of all, there were 2 high snaps in the shotgun by Connor Williams. Third of all, the running game has completely sucked. Although Tampa Bay kind of sold out against the run. So, and there were a couple of decent runs. Savon Ahmed had a really nice run against the Raiders. So, yeah, there's reason to be concerned about the offensive line. I'm not ready to push the panic button yet, though.
Okay. You just mentioned my follow-up question. Is Sony Michel the number 3 back on this team? Or is there a dark horse there out of the other cats that have been here? Or Zaquandre White, who scored this week? Do any of those guys have a shot? Because the other 2 guys are locked in, obviously. So, and do you think, and then the follow-up question to that is, who do you think has a shot at 3? If nobody has a shot at 3, are they keeping 4 outside of the fullback?
I can't see it because I don't know. To me, it's Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, so clearly above the rest of the pack. I'd be lying to you if I said I've seen anything that's really dazzled me with Sony Michel. I know he's got the resume and he's had some really good games with the Patriots. Did a good job for the Rams.
By the way, he has also the resume of uneven too. Not let's. The resume is all of it. It's injuries, it's uneven play, it's fumbling, and yes, successes too. But he also has the negatives, and that's why he's here. And he's had multiple teams already in a very short career.
It's also why he signed a 1-year contract fairly late in the process too. Yeah, no, I haven't been dazzled by him. I'd be lying if I said I were. So having said that, where once I thought he was a lock to be the number 3 guy, I don't feel that way anymore at all. I think it's a free for all. It could be Myles Gaskin, who isn't flashy, doesn't dazzle or anything like that, but it's very efficient.
Yeah.
I could see Savon Ahmed because there's some upside there. I'm not buying Zaquandre White, and then
he's practice squad.
He had a nice touchdown against the Raiders, but I don't buy it. So right now, to me, it's almost flip a coin between the 3. Ahmed, Gaskin, Michel, and I have a hard time seeing them keeping 4 halfbacks when they have a surplus of wide receivers, when they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. It doesn't make sense, and then you can't justify that in my eyes.
Yeah, actually, the Zaquandre White touchdown was more impressive. The Skyler throw, lead, touch, pass, all that. That's really what made that touchdown for me, actually, because the kid was under pressure, yet he was able to flick it with the touch to lead Zaquandre into the touchdown. So to me, that was the impressive part of White's touchdown. It was the quarterback play, really, not the running back. He made it for the running back nice and easy.
But he made a nice move. He made a nice move in the open field.
He did. I'll give him credit. But I love the touch pass from Skyler. All right. What are you working on over at Sports Illustrated, alldolphins.com, which you must bookmark out there, Dolphin Nation. What are you working on your 400 articles today?
Well, I'll just throw out a couple of them. I continued with the countdown, which is at number 17 today. And as I wrote, it features the player who
God, Tannehill is there. And
the most polarizing player in team history until he was completely lapped by Tua, overtaken for that title. I revisited the 10 things that I had to watch for the game against the Raiders with how those played out. Pretty thorough look at a bunch of different topics, including Gesicki to Skyler, the offensive line, and the like. And then this afternoon, I'm going to do roster projection 3.0.
There you go. And follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL and catch him twice a week here doing his thing. Alain, as always, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you immensely.
You got it. We'll talk to you later this week.
You got it. Alain Poupart, baby, and our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report.